Welcome to Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights, a podcast by coaches for coaches. Our guests share their hard-won wisdom to help you grow your coaching business and create a life of success. So get ready to unlock the blueprints to your success. Welcome, everyone, to our podcast episode. We have a lovely guest today. Her name is Jeanne Bromley. Her company is Stressed to Loving Life. So she coaches employees and business owners who are overwhelmed to try and help them get back to loving their life. So thank you so much for joining me today, Jeanne.
Lovely to be here. Really nice. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about how you became a coach. How did you end up where you are today?
Yes, it's been a long journey. And I actually became a coach because I had set up my own business and I was working with a leadership team and I was working with a chief executive. And we did a really successful project. It lasted 11 months. It was quite a project. They had major problems. And one day I had a conversation with the chief exec. And interestingly enough, what most people don't know is that when businesses have problems, it's usually the chief exec who has a problem. And people don't realize that, but all problems generally. So anyway, we'd done this project. It was having such a good impact on their sales, on their employees, on their customers. And all of a sudden, one day he got triggered and he went into meltdown and he pulled the whole thing apart.
Wow.
It was horrible. I actually ended up feeling like I had flu really badly afterwards. And you do wonder if it was an emotional reaction to everything that had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went, wow, I need some other skill that will help me to help people who are so badly triggered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of stress on them.
Yes, there was something, he was really concerned that people would find out that he wasn't as successful as he wanted to be. But he was a millionaire. He built up a business from nothing to 20 million and he still had, what's it called?
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, absolutely. And he just, in a meeting one day, he just went into meltdown.
Wow.
I know.
Just
Exactly.
goes to show that even people who are so accomplished still struggle emotionally and mentally.
Yes. And most chief execs are actually really driven because they feel they have something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've worked a lot with chief execs since then and managing directors. I've also worked with people at all sorts of different levels, from individual contributors, lots and lots of managers and senior managers. And I've bumped into lots of chief execs who have gained massively from the fact that I learned how to coach. And coaching is such an incredibly powerful skill, especially when the coach doesn't tell the client the answers. Unfortunately, there's quite a lot of coaches out there who think coaching is about giving the answers. And there are times when that's really important. But the problem about doing that is that the person doesn't really dig anywhere nearly as deep inside them. They don't commit to the actions that are agreed because it's your idea, not their idea. Whereas if it's their idea, it makes all the difference. And thirdly, and I think just as importantly, they don't learn the wonderful gift that they can actually find the answers within themselves. So from a coaching perspective as well, it's wonderful to just coach someone and to see those wonderful shifts, massively deep shifts. And the more I burnt out. So I burnt out really deeply. And then I've healed, I've come on more and more. And the more I open up as a person, the more I learn to love myself, the more I accept myself, the more I find my clients are opening up and they're even discussing things that they had never previously considered as being an issue. And they're finding that they're transformational. And I just love that.
Oh, you're inspiring me. I totally get that because I do a lot of marketing coaching and it's lovely when you're talking to them or asking them questions, as you say, and all of a sudden their eyes light up and they have this amazing revelation that they never even considered because they'd always been going down one path. I love that.
I know, absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, they've got to be ready to do that. But I find also that the more I'm comfortable with my own emotions and the sensations in my own body, the more I can comfortably in the sessions notice their reaction to things and things they've never ever seen before. And it's when people are prepared to face the things that scare them within themselves, that's when they make the major shifts. So.
Yeah. And I think that's why people should work with a coach and intend to work with a coach for over a period of time, because you've got so much to share and so much to help them uncover or unravel that, like you said, in the beginning, they may not be ready for this level, but they may need to start a few levels back. And then as you unwrap that and unravel that, and they have a little bit of time in between your meetings to think, oh, yeah, that might be the way I should be going, or maybe I should consider that. But yeah, I think obviously we all believe in coaching, and I do think that it's important to work with someone over a period of time.
And I totally agree with you, because what happens is, and for instance, I have a coach who I use regularly. And what I've found is that the trust, it deepens and deepens. Having said that, I've actually, on one occasion, I coached a lady who was about to go on maternity leave, and she had a business and she had nothing set up. And in one 50-minute session, she was just ready for it. She just really wanted it. And in one 50-minute session, she solved the whole problem, which just and also I do co-coaching sessions with the Association of Coaching, and we just do 15 minutes. So just 15 minutes, and amazing people I've never ever coached or never been coached before, and a huge impact. So yes, it's amazing how powerful coaching can be.
Yeah. And I guess it just depends on where you are in the process and how motivated you are to achieve the result that you want.
Yes, but I agree with you. So this lady who coaches me, and people, what I find is they start off quite often by dealing with more tangible things. And then over time, as they get more and more comfortable, they are happier to go deeper and deeper. And most people aren't comfortable to do that with someone that they've just met.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about perhaps a client, without giving us any names, that you took from where they were and stuck where they were to achieving what they wanted. Their 0 to hero story, if you will.
Yes, absolutely. There are loads of great stories, but one that immediately comes to mind. So now I focus on taking people, as you said, from being too stressed, overwhelmed, and just on that horrible treadmill where you never think you're going to get off the hamster wheel. Okay. And I take them along a path, first of all, to thriving, and then when they want to, also to loving every day of their life. So it's an amazing journey. And there's one lady, and she hadn't been ready for ages. And I knew her as a friend. So I knew her, and she is a senior manager in a very large, one of the global IT companies. She's very proud of the work she does, and so she should be. She's very good at her job, and she really gets a lot out of it. But she also has a family. The work was what these corporates are like. They ask you to do a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And what even her manager was saying to her, for heaven's sake, there's too much load on you. You can't carry on like that. But it took her having a series of flu, then the cold, then she got some other illness, and then she eventually came to me. And I'd been saying to her, for heaven's sake, please look after yourself. This is just too much for you. But she didn't think that there was a way to reduce her workload. And a lot of people think that. And every single person who comes to me, they think that. And yet, in no time at all, we find ways for them to use. But because they're so close to it, they think it's not possible. And it's the same with her. She was like, there's no option. I've got no choice but to carry on. And she, poor woman, she was waking up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock every morning. She was, okay, she went to bed quite early because she was exhausted, but she was pushing herself all the time. And also she got to the point where she didn't dare relax over the weekends. So she was thinking your emotional system gets all really wound up, and it gets to the point where relaxing, you can't relax any longer. And her family was sad, and she felt the fact that her family was sad that she wasn't there enough. She felt that as more pressure. I should imagine that lots of people relate to this because the Western world is crazy now.
Yes.
And so anyway, eventually she came to me and she said, okay, she says, something's got to give. Let's hope you have the answers. And I coached her, and it was just what we say, non-directional coaching. I also sometimes, before the sessions, I will actually give case study examples to open up their minds. I will give some facts of what happens with your nervous system. I'll give information, but during the coaching session, non-directional coaching. And within 2 sessions of coaching, she had found that she was able to delegate in a way that she didn't think was possible before. She thought that the people that she was going to be delegating to weren't able to do that. But during the coaching, she realized that her job was about bringing them up to speed.
I love that.
And after those 2 sessions, within 2 weeks, they had taken so much load off her that her workload reduced to 80% of what it was.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it was just incredible to see. I was just so happy for her because her family were like, oh my gosh, my mother's back.
Oh.
Her husband was so relieved to see that the pressure was off her. She was starting to enjoy her work so much. She hadn't realized that actually she wasn't managing to do everything the customers needed, that the customers loved her, so they coped with it. But all of a sudden, the customers were getting a better level of service. And she then went through another phase when she was thinking, what happens if they're better than me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then we had to go through that, and we had to strip that away. And she soon realized that she's so good at her job that it really isn't an issue. And that anyway, if they were better in some areas, then it just meant the whole team were better. But she had to release that. And the transformation was, and it just a matter of a few sessions, and made such a difference.
Oh, that's so fantastic. Yeah, I can, and I know a lot of our listeners can relate to so many things in that story about you just feeling like nobody can do it like me, and nobody can do it that's sufficient for me. And yes, the person that you outsource to or hand things over to probably doesn't do it exactly like you do. But at the end of the day, as long as it's done well and it's done properly and the team is happy and the clients are happy, then yeah, it works.
Yes, absolutely. And the fact is, we're all different. So they're not going to ever do it the way you'll do it. But we've got into this ridiculous situation where not only are we trying to turn our bodies into machines, where we think we can just work without stopping, and we're not designed to do that, okay? But I've got someone who's wanting to join me, but I now do a 9-week program, the overstressed to thriving program. And she's itching to start it. But at the moment, she's trying to be superwoman. And it actually comes from a self-doubt. It's a doubt that if I don't half kill myself, if I don't try to do the impossible, it's all gonna fall apart. And the problem is that our nervous systems, when we've been in fight or flight for a certain amount of time, our nervous systems think that there's so much danger all around that they think it thinks it's protecting us by not allowing us to relax. And then we think that we have more to do and we can't relax. And there are some really fast ways of reducing the pressure. I don't want anyone to burn out the way I did. And there's no need to do. If you catch it before you burn out badly, okay, you can back away. And what the funny thing is that by looking after yourself, by giving yourself what you need in order to really shine, in order to be the best, in order to wake up in the morning looking forward to the day, in order to be able to come home and immediately relax and chill out and put your feet up, in order to laugh more, in order to have more fun at work and to be proud of your work, in order to actually look forward to go to work without feeling that massive pressure and having lots of fun and laughing more. Okay, if you do that, if you set yourself up to do that, then what happens is you actually perform better, okay? And everyone starts to say, wow, what are you taking? Can I have some of this? Because all of a sudden you are shining. You are the real you, the full, undampened down version of you.
I love that. Yeah, people can sense that energy, can't they? And once, like you said, you can release that, it takes all the muck out of your head. I can only relate it to when I have a marketing agency, and way back when my business coach and she said, I've heard of people outsourcing to the Philippines to see some of their marketing. Would you want to try that? And I said, okay. But in my mind, I'm thinking they can't do it. I have to do it. They don't know my clients. I know my clients. But once I did, and I could allocate to them in the evening, and in the morning I came to, and it was done. It was like this big boulder was no longer on my shoulders. It was like this cloud had parted, and I felt like I could be more creative and do better things with my clients and help them in so many better ways because I didn't have all that day-to-day pressure on top of me.
Absolutely. I love your analogies. Have the boulder taken off you, have the clouds parting and the sun coming through. And we all love that feeling of when the sun is on us and it just feels like life is so good again.
Yeah. I think, like you said, sometimes we forget that we can enjoy what we do, and we can enjoy, because a lot of the people who are listening are business owners, and they have a purpose. They want genuinely to help people get to a good place, but you've also got to make sure that you're in a good place to help them.
Exactly. And I don't think we've heard the analogy of you've got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. But for those of you who have children, I think it goes further than that. If you're not actually, the most important relationship you're ever going to have is the one with yourself. Okay. And I think we have a bad tendency to prioritize others above us. And we have a bad tendency to not give ourselves the things and not treat ourselves the way we would a best friend. And yet, what sort of role model is that for the children that you're bringing up? Surely you want them to feel deeply loved by themselves and to be treating themselves beautifully every day, so that not only do they revel in their own relationship with themselves, but as a result, that is mirrored by the relationship they have with others who treat them with more respect. They suddenly feel more confident, and therefore the people don't push them, and they treat them the way they should be treated. And I think that's one of the biggest gifts you can give to yourself, but also if you're bringing children up, to give that to them as well.
Yeah, beautifully said. Especially now I have teenagers, and so you can see them and their friends and how your relationship with yourself and your relationships around you help guide them without speaking, without saying anything. It's the way that you're acting.
Yeah, especially for instance, all my worst habits came from my mother, but also a lot of my best habits. So my adventurous spirit, I'm a nomad now. And so a lot of my adventurousness, I don't think that's a word, but a lot of my ability to go out and make my life the way I want, it comes from my parents. And we have such a huge impact, not only on our children, but on everyone around us.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. This has been amazing. Jeanne, I'm so glad you joined me today. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you if they are interested in getting help from you.
Okay, so the best way is to look for me on Facebook. Okay, if you look on Facebook for jane.bromley.90, I think you're going to put that in the links, aren't you? Then you can get really good tips on reducing your stress. You can get posts that I believe will inspire you and make you feel better. And you can also see the pictures when I'm traveling around the place. So.
Well, I love that. I'm heading over there after this. So one last question for you, Jeanne. If you could provide the world one tip to make it a better place, what would that be?
If you choose to love yourself, then to really love yourself, to accept and love yourself, you will not only heal everything within you that you're wanting to ever heal, but you will be a massive, wonderful light for everyone around you.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today, Jeanne. It's been such a pleasure.
It's been lovely. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights. We hope you're leaving this episode with inspiration to take your coaching business and your life to the next level. If you found value in this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe and share it with someone else who you think might benefit from hearing it. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.